Hi, this is Barry J. McDonald over at writecom.com. On today's blog post, we had a look at mistakes made when writing fiction. For me, the biggest mistake made when writing fiction is character creation and believing that your storyline is where your book starts. I found out when I was beginning that I thought storyline was the be-all and end-all. Once I had a storyline put together, it was just a matter of slotting my character into that storyline. But I found out then, after writing a few thousand words, that that's not the case. That your storyline actually begins with your character, and it's in the backbone of that character's journey from the start of the book to the finish of the book is what the storyline hangs on. So in the case of the case of why we actually read fiction, it's to follow a character on a journey. It's to see them overcome or whatever limitations they have, and it's why we read the book, is to follow that character and take part and see their growth, so that by the time they get to the end of the book, that character is completely different. If we read a book and the character was the exact same on page one as it were on the last page of the book, it'd be a very disappointed journey that we'd gone on. But like if you take, for example, like the Harry Potter books, like how that character was so kind of weak or whatever compared to Voldemort, and then we followed him all the way through all the different books and the difference in the character at the end of the book, and it's that growth and the challenges that character had gone through, to get stronger and to, it was like, if imagine a rough diamond being chipped away, we kept reading until we wanted to see that finished diamond at the end of the book. And if your characters aren't changing from the beginning to the end of the book, well then it's not really much of a journey, and it's not really much of an appeal for the reader to keep reading your book. So that would be the first mistake, is believing that your storyline matters when it's actually your characters that come first rather than the storyline. And then another mistake then is knowing your characters. To create a good character, you need to sit down, you need to do a kind of interview process where you find out more about your character, what their beliefs are, what their likes are, what the person that they are. Maybe if you wanted to go back then maybe to create a kind of a virtual kind of family tree, all the different things that happened to them as they're growing up, the people that they had come in contact with, and the person that they are, because the more realistic you can make that character to yourself, the more easier it's going to be to write that character. And the more life that's in your character, the more kind of three-dimensional your character appears, the more they're going to come off the page, and your readers are going to love them. So you take, for example, even if you look back at the Star Wars characters, like the characters in the first movie, the first original movie, how strong they were, like the characters were that good that, from that then now we've actually seen the spin-off movies that each character is kind of getting their own movie because those characters were so strong. So, for example, if you had a good storyline with weak characters, it's never going to do as well as a weak storyline with great characters, because it's the great characters that we remember. Even if your favourite TV show or movie, it's probably not to do maybe with the characters, with the storyline that was actually in that movie, but it's the memorable scenes that we've seen characters do different things, and because of that then it's the characters that that last long after the movie has finished. So you need to kind of get to know your characters and find out things about them, and then from what I'd said earlier, from this point, you're going to see that your characters are going to have certain traits. They're going to do certain things. So, if you can't force a character to do something completely out of character from what they do, for example, if your character had a taste of the colour purple, you're not going to have that character then coming near the end of the book wearing a purple t-shirt if they detested the colour, unless there was a genuine reason for it. For example, the example I used here in the blog post was, for me, what that was a bit of weak writing was the Matrix trilogy movies. In the first movie and the second movie, we had the character Neo, who was hell-bent on kind of destroying the hold the machines had over the humans. And between the first movie and the second movie, he was fighting them non-stop. He was trying to dismantle everything and to free humans from the machines and what they were doing with us. And then the third movie, then by the time it came to the end, then he came to a truce. It was just a kind of, okay, let's be friends and let's just walk away and carry on as if nothing happened. And for me, that destroyed the whole trilogy, because on the way through those first two movies and 3/4 of the way through the third movie, this character was hell-bent on just stopping them at all cost. He was putting his life in danger and everything, and his friends and everything. And then all of a sudden at the end, then he just kind of shrugged his shoulders and says, okay, let's just end it like this, which I thought destroyed the whole trilogy. And because I thought, well, it was weak writing, and because we as the audience had watched that character in those three movies, and we've seen things that he would do, we've seen his beliefs and what he would do and what he wouldn't do, and then for him to just toss all that away then at the end of the last movie, I thought was weak writing. So by getting to know your characters, you're going to find out what they're going to do, And then as well as that too, like your readers are going to have a feeling of what that character's like and what beliefs they have and what they will stand for and what they won't stand for. And then if you come along then and just suddenly just out of the blue just make them do something that's out of character, that's going to stand out in the, it's people's, in the readers' minds, and it's going to make your work look bad because of it. So from those two things, like from knowing your characters and basing your storyline on those back of those characters, you're going to have the makings of a good book, but then you're also going to have to pay attention to your anti-hero. Again, going back to Star Wars, if, we've seen Luke was just a small farm boy and he was up against the great kind of Jedi Master, the dark side that was Darth Vader. And because it was so extreme, as Darth Vader seemed light years ahead of him, in skill and experience and everything else. And this farm boy, who had never picked up a lightsaber before, and this was our character that was going to go up against the main heavy. And because of that then, because it was such an extreme kind of balance between the two of experience and everything else, we were glued to that first Star Wars movie to see how is this ordinary boy or young man going to go up against Darth Vader. And because of that character was so big, that anti-hero, like the evil side was so big compared to his, it gave the more of a chance for us for things to happen to Luke, from these things to chip away from, to get stronger and stronger. For example, if say maybe at the beginning of the film he had the exact same experience and had the same knowledge and was at the level par with Darth Vader, that movie wouldn't have been as good. But because Luke was so small and Darth Vader was so big, there was such an extreme kind of difference between the two that we were just glued to what was going to happen. How was he going to grow? What was going to happen to bring him up to the equivalent of Darth Vader and actually go and face him? So if you want to create a good main character, you have to work on your anti-character. So whether that's going to be, whether it's actually a human being or whether it's something like the weather or something like that, you have to make that, so big that your character seems so small compared to it. And because of that, then, it's going to make your story more exciting, and we're going to learn more about your character, what they're going to have to go through and what beliefs they're going to have about themselves and how they're going to grow by the time it comes to the end of the book. So for me, the biggest mistakes made with fiction writing is basically with the characters. Now, if you'd like to know more about how to create, great fictional characters, I recommend you come over to fictionalcharacterbuilding.com and pick up my report there, which will show you how to. It's a simple A to a Z that you can go through a process of building a believable fictional character. A simple kind of questions and answers you would ask yourself to create that character. So, as well too, if you want to come over to writecom.com, I highly recommend you drop by, because we have a free report that's going away at the moment that shows you 10 ways to create money from writing. One of them shows you actually how to make money without writing a single word at all. So if this is intriguing to you and you'd like to know more about us, or you'd like to read more about our blog posts, come on over to writecom.com. My name's Barry J. McDonald, and I'll speak to you again in another video. Take care. Bye-bye.